Hello and welcome to your favorite Average to Good podcast, Call What You Want. Special edition to catch everybody up. Might be hearing some background noise. We're at SoFi Stadium right after the U.S. lost to Panama, surprisingly 1-0 to go into the third place game. So I have to wait to see who they face. I'm Jimmy Conrad, and I don't have Charlie Davies or Tony Meola with me because of the watch along. These guys were on TV doing their thing, but I am joined by two handsome devils, Jonathan Bornstein and Chris Wittyngham.
One handsome devil.
Well, it's up for debate. Now, Chris, you called the game with Big Tones, Tony Meola. What were your thoughts about what you saw from your perspective?
Well, I just think the U.S. just sort of came against a team that pressed in the right moments, that defended deep in the right moments, that made it impossible to play through lines, that took advantage of the size of the pitch, which is smaller. And I think that there just wasn't space to operate for the United States. I think at that point, you almost kind of have to figure out where it might be, whether that's giving them the ball to then sit deep, to then try and hit on the break or put more crosses in. I don't know, but the U.S. looked completely out of ideas. And unfortunately, that happens a lot to the U.S. It happened against Panama in the Copa America. It happened even here in the Nations League a year ago.
Against Jamaica. It's same thing.
Sort of like, these are players that are playing at a high level in Europe. Juventus and Milan and Norwich and all these teams that are at a good level. And then these guys aren't creating in the biggest moments.
Yeah, it's a little bit frustrating. And I think there has to be some questions of Mauricio Pochettino and his starting 11, the subs that he made, even the tactics overall. I mean, that's all part and parcel of what we have to do when we critique how the team performed. Now, Jonathan Bornstein, the U.S. did create enough opportunities to win this game. And had they scored one, I think they go on to win that game 3-0 because at some point Panama has to stretch themselves out to get back into it. You can tag them a couple times in transition. Game over, done and dusted. Thank you. We're going back to the final. Yes. Didn't play out that way. We actually played right into Panama's hands. And I think what makes me most disappointed is that we didn't really make Panama suffer. You know, and that's what you're really trying to do when you're playing is can we make the other team suffer? And they just didn't look like they were sweating too much based on what we were putting together. Your thoughts?
Yeah, you know, I said it before. It's a game of opportunities, right? We created those moments that you're talking about, but we didn't finish with a goal, right? And a team that's going to be sitting in a low block, mid block as well, but a tight block. It's hard to play through the lines. You're going to need that moment to open them up, right? We talked about it at the beginning of the game where it was like, okay, we need to put balls behind to create more opportunities to stretch them. Okay, they started doing that. We started actually creating some opportunities. But when you don't finish them, and it's like, okay, you get one, you get two, you get one, it's offside. No, it's kind of demoralizing.
Yeah, right.
So you're creating these, but then
well, there's also that
give them life in the 90th
That's
minute,
true.
right?
There's also that element of sorry to interrupt, but like, okay, hey, we had a couple chances in the first half, but we have another half. Then you're 60 minutes in. Oh, it's okay. We still got 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you run out of time, and then they hit you with their one chance,
with
and
the
the
one
game's
opportunity,
over.
And they take it, and that's soccer, right?
And it kind of felt
football.
like anytime Panama wins, first off, they had the quality to play. Give them a lot of credit because when you're a team that's defending, you can very easily, we'll get it out of here, we'll keep defending. But they played through pressure often, and then every time they went, you're like, oh boy, is this going to be the time? And finally, it was the 94th minute when it happened.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. So we're going to have a chance, if you're watching on the YouTube, the Golazo America YouTube channel, to watch the last goal. And it all started with a header back to Christian Pulisic that wasn't really to anybody in particular.
A poor header by Christian Pulisic back. That's what started the sequence. Now they get forward. Kataski here, who's the music maker in the midfield for Panama, finds Waterman, beats Matt Turner to that far post, and the celebrations are on with Thierry Henry for Panama. 1-0. The U.S. has some work to do in here in the next couple of minutes to get back into this one.
Panama.
But at this level, you need to be switched on at all times because we might need you for that one moment, and we needed him, and he didn't come up big. And there's just a lot of questions in general. Okay, we have a couple creative players on the bench. We have Gio Reyna, everybody's clamoring for, of course, but Diego Luna was another option that Pochettino seemed high on, and he brings on Jack McGlynn. Chris, that was a sub where we were all like, well, that was not on our bingo card.
But he was good.
Yeah, he's solid.
I thought he came in and impacted the game. He was
okay,
contributing from deep and moving the ball side to side and hitting switches. He was better in that department than Tanner Tessman was, who I did not think had a very good game of distribution. I can't really fault the introduction of McGlynn. Maybe you keep.
Okay, Ajimong was dangerous when he came on as well. I don't really fault either one of those guys. But do you feel like there could be? Do you just have to take out one of your big names and throw Gio/Diego out there?
McKinney had a very good game. I think he could have been someone that could have been sacrificed in that moment. But then you're thinking, all right, are we going to go to extra time and not have some of our best guys available? Maybe even some of your penalty kick takers. I don't know if that comes into the.
And Weston's been one of our most clutch players in this competition in particular. He's got more goals and assists combined than anybody else for the U.S. I can see why you leave him out there, but you're leaving two really creative players on the bench in Luna and Gio Reyna.
Yeah, younger guys who you might be surprised at what they bring, right? I agree with Chris in the fact that I thought Jack did a great job. I thought he came in and it was actually actively going and seeking the ball and getting it and turning and playing and switching the point of attack. I thought Ajimong also was although we
created some good chances.
He created the biggest chance of the game where he gets through one-on-one.
Our one moment of a transition, by the way, our one counter attack.
But that goes to also talk well about Panama, because Panama didn't make a lot of mistakes on the ball. They didn't give us, any free looks other than that one. And unfortunately, we did give them their only looks of the game throughout the game was when we were making mistakes, which that last goal comes off as well. So, it's tough to say, what could have been done better in terms of Pochettino saying, this sub may have been better or that. But I think, the subs had an impact. I think in general, the intensity of the player, as a player, you just want to compete to the highest level. I don't think there was enough competition from enough players on that field tonight.
Yeah, I guess when we're speaking about performances in our recaps did we have enough players on our team that gave you a 7 or 8 out of 10?
Exactly.
And I don't think we could say enough of them did to tip everything in our favor.
Yeah, I actually think that a lot of players for me along the defensive line, I would say maybe Barr, Richardson, Musso, I don't think had great games. I thought Scally was excellent. I thought Ream was excellent. I thought Tyler Adams was excellent. You're slacking quality. And that's just not a thing that we should be talking about with the U.S. We talked about a generation for years, didn't we, Jimmy and Jonathan, where it was
our generation.
Right. Did we have enough in the attack to go win the biggest games? And now you have players that are Christian Pulisic is at Milan, Weston McKennie is at Juventus, Yunus Musa is at Milan. You should have
enough quality.
An idea, one player. Yeah. And I don't know, you talk about chances. I don't feel they were amazing chances.
No, but
Ajimong's was good. But it's also a situation where if that were Pepe, if that were Balogun, if that were Hachi Wright, maybe you fancy it a bit more. And Patrick Ajimong's a brilliant story. Just not certain his national team.
That's fair. That's fair. And now when you bring up those names, you wonder what this team looks like if those players had been available, right? Serginho Dest is now starting again for PSV. What does it look like if he's on the right side? What does it look like when Jedi Robinson is bombing up and down the left side? I thought it was more apparent than maybe it's ever been that we missed some of our key players that we are trusting to give you that 7 or 8 out of 10.
I agree with what you were saying about Scully playing well, right? But he wasn't being asked a lot. He got forward a few times, but the majority of his role tonight was kind of just holding down the back, allowing our right side to get forward a little bit more, right? You lose a big piece with Jedi when he's not playing. You put Scully there, that dynamic ability that he has to get forward to get back. I agree with what you say about he played well, but I think he can do better in his natural position as well.
Of course.
And I don't think that was
they clearly lack a left-footed deliverer of a cross.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
It's a dimension that you don't have in the game.
Even a pass to open up and play it. But all of it, yes.
Because if you're on the left side, you come back to your right, everything becomes predictable.
Yes.
Right?
And
everybody can play.
And for me, Yunus Musa playing out wide, I understand why Pochettino likes it, but he doesn't deliver a good cross either, in my opinion. So I think having fullbacks on either side that aren't really capable of we didn't have that many good crossing moments in the game.
No. They must have set a record for headers because all we did was keep hitting Panama center backs right in the head.
Yes.
So it's interesting times. I mean, there's a lot to unpack with this result.
Jimmy, just to get back to your point though about if the United States had their best guys, would anyone in the Panama team make it into the U.S. team? Would anyone? Maybe Jose Cordoba, maybe Carrasquilla.
Farhado could be a shout. No,
I don't think so.
Carrasquilla, I think Carrasquilla would be okay.
Yeah, he would have a chance.
But there's just that.
I get it.
The games that we're
But they're
talking
so
about,
organized, and they have an identity
Of course.
of having a consistent coach for the last 5 years.
You're talking about players, and for me,
Okay.
there is an element of it where when you keep dropping results against teams that you're supposed to be better than, that Pochettino's talking about dominating, that all of us, let's be honest, in the build-up, we're talking about not if the U.S. will win, but by how much, then these are games you have to take care of independent of the players you have available.
So one of the things that we noticed was that in the first half, we were definitely trying to get Musa up the line, right, and trying to create that width. And we created some decent chances, hit some long balls. Where I thought we were better in the second half is when we actually beat that first player in a 1v1 situation.
Yeah.
And I just thought it took us too long to get there. I don't know if it was discussed at halftime or whatever, but once the players took a little bit more initiative of, if I can somehow get past the first player, that's when Panama starts to get vulnerable because now somebody's got to slide over. I didn't feel like we shifted them enough. And even when we were doing little combination plays and Tim was doing, they still weren't really moving them around, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know, it's a little frustrated that we weren't solving problems quicker.
Yeah, I think rhythm is a big thing that comes to mind with what you were saying, right? The rhythm of the game in the first half was pretty slow. We were trying to move them. They were able to just shift very easily one side to the other. You know, we tried to go behind a few times, create some more space between them. But second half, the moments of rhythm when it really was created was when we did beat someone 1v1.
Yeah.
And then we would get down the line, and then, again, talking about the crossing. Crossing wasn't good enough, right?
Can we add set pieces into it? Set pieces
pieces
weren't good
were
enough
not-
either.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because for me, Pulisic delivers a great ball for Milan. But for the United States men's national team, he has never, for me, been a very good corner taker or set piece taker in general. 2 points on that. One, I thought Panama were classically Concacaf. And knowing the exact moments when to fake an injury, when to go down.
We were talking about that.
Like they hit all the beats.
Yes.
They knew exactly what they were doing in that respect. And to your point of not moving the team side to side, again, you don't want to make excuses. But this is where the narrow field plays a role in my view.
Of course.
You can hit a perfect switch, and McGlynn did, and Weston McKennie did, right into the stride. On a normal size pitch, you have space.
Yes.
But when you're playing 5 across the back, and you hit a switch,
Yeah,
there's still no space.
Yeah.
And there's no space really in the middle. They created nothing to the middle, which
Right.
I think is a real concern because Pochettino talked a lot in the build-up about having Pulisic as his number 10 because he thinks that maybe
perfect number 10,
that's his better position.
He didn't get on the
He was
ball
playing
enough.
out wide.
He didn't get on the ball enough.
No.
Right. So Johnny, we both Chris and I have interrupted you
No, it's
2 or
okay.
3 times.
I like being interrupted. I like hearing you guys and listening.
No, but keep going. You had some good points, so we're going.
I mean, I was just going to mention about the rhythm and then, like, again, it goes back to the competing and guys just wanting to win out there, right? It's like sometimes I look at these guys, and he's mentioned already a few times that they play so well for their club teams. They play in Champions League. They play in the top division leagues in the world. But whenever they come back to the U.S., like they're lacking something, or they are not able to bring the same game and same intensity that they do and compete with on the European scale. You know, what is it? The travel, maybe. There's so many excuses. Was it the field today, the dimensions? I have a hard time believing any of that because as a player and having played at a high level, you either find a way to win or you lose, right?
Yeah.
And that's just the reality of all of it. And so these guys just need to come together and figure out the best way for them to start competing and, again, finding solutions to solve these problems that we have. So
It's tough when you have a result like this, like where to find the bright spots. I'll try to find one. One silver line is we're going to have a cracking affair in the 3rd place game because we got either Canada or Mexico. And both of us are going to be embarrassed to be in that position. So there's going to be some pride at stake. So I'll take that.
Nobody wants to finish 4th.
Nobody wants to finish 4th.
Out of the possible teams that can finish
Exactly
4th.
right.
It would
Exactly
be really bad
right.
for any of them to finish 4th.
Yeah, so there's a silver lining there. But then when you look at player performance, there's a couple. It almost gets back to certain moments. I was like, oh, that was good in that moment. But was there a consistent performance that was good? When you go back to front, you can have good, solid games. But to your point, it didn't help us win the game.
yes,
We didn't have enough players that either took responsibility, pushed the game. I know these are kind of easy statements to make. It's a lot harder out there when you're like, shit, we got 10 guys that are sitting on top of the box.
yeah.
What the hell do you expect us to do? We can't. How are we going to create rhythm? Where's the space to hit crosses? I can't find our number 9. Christian, where's Christian? I can't find Christian. He's like lost in a sea of Panamanian players.
Yeah.
Like it's just hard at times. But
Completely.
to your guys' points, they have so much experience. They should be able to, if anybody's going to do it, it should be these
and
guys.
this
They
is
have
where-
that much
and this-
experience. They play in Europe and so on and so forth.
And this is where the Pochettino part of the equation comes in. Because a lot of the talk, if Greg Berhalter were still the manager, we would be saying Greg Berhalter does not have the ideas to get this team to break down low blocks.
And he's trusting MLS players, and he's doing all this.
Exactly, right? And so you do the if it were Berhalter, we would be having a completely different conversation. And look, Pochettino has had a very limited amount of time. It's hard to coach international football when guys are playing on a Sunday, flying across the world to then play on a Thursday in Los Angeles. Completely understand it, but if Pochettino is meant to be a force multiplier for the talent in the team because of his quality as a coach, it didn't shine through today.
Do you feel like when we hit halftime, I feel like we saw a few adjustments, and I think it was mainly in the 1v1 stuff.
Yep.
But was that enough? I mean, he made some subs to try to change the game, and the subs were fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of getting like in the fine department. Ajiman could have went from average to good to great, if he scores.
Of course.
And now Pochettino's looking like a genius, It's like these fine margins.
Fine details.
This is a really tough game to evaluate because to your point, we need to be able to win these games. Even when it's ugly, can we win ugly? And we didn't do that today.
Yeah, I think it goes back to kind of the thing we were talking about during the game, and as well we mentioned a couple times already. Having players kind of out of position from what they normally play. Yeah, you would expect them to be able to compete in any position possible.
Yeah.
But really, you want your strongest players in their strongest positions, right? And that also adds to a team being able to be dynamic on both sides of the field. I felt we were a little bit more dynamic in the first half on the right side of the field.
Right.
Then in the second half, we had Tim Weah on the left being dynamic, and we lost a little bit on the right. And so, I think Scully ended up.
Maybe our balance wasn't.
Our balance was off.
Yeah.
That's what I feel. So the balance of being able to go down the left, go down the right, they were able to. Panama was able to just shift and keep us pretty much to one side and in front of them the whole game. And I think that was a big problem for us as well.
Yeah.
And that's based at least in part because Pochettino is playing them in different roles than they were playing under Greg Berhalter.
Yeah.
When you look at Weah on the left, Pulisic with the middle, Yunus Musa is kind of a wide right, kind of getting both up and down as a fullback.
Yeah.
He's completely changed the profiles of all the best players in the team while trying to figure it out in very short bursts. And this is the challenge of international management. I think you saw it today. Panama have an idea. It's not very complex. It's not, but they've drilled it over time, and they know this is how we play, this is how we defend, this is how we implement our dark art strategy, this is how we nick a goal on the counter.
They're excellent.
And for me,
they're like peak Concacaf.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. And that's the one thing that the U.S. is never going to escape. You're still in Concacaf. You still have to learn how to play in these games.
Yeah,
for players that play in Europe, it's a completely different thing. I want to say, though, just as a point of credit to the opposition, I think Thomas Christensen as a manager should get talked about as being promoted within the international sphere. If Mexico go out tonight and lose to Canada, and they're talking about what manager can they go get, why not some of the international experience of Thomas Christensen, who is managing in a Spanish-speaking nation and has gotten so much out of this team? For me, you want to go and get the biggest name in the club game because those are the managers you pay a lot of attention to. But I think at a certain point, you have to respect the track record that Christensen has brought in, now beating the United States 4 times in competitive games.
They and him in particular deserve a lot of credit, and we should give them their flowers. It was a hell of a performance from Panama. They executed their game plan flawlessly, and they got the goal that they needed at the very end and left no time for the U.S. to get back into it.
Yes.
So well played to Thomas Christensen and Panama. But
and
from a U.S. perspective,
well played to Cecilia Waterman as well for his celebration.
The celebration was crazy.
That was crazy. And by the way,
crazy.
very cool. Terry revealed after the game that he was shouting at him, "Tu eres mi ídolo, you are my idol."
Yeah.
So that was what he went up there and jumped on the stage. And they shirts, and there's a photo that he's going to cherish for the rest of his life.
That's
it's
incredible.
A cool moment for him.
That's a very cool moment. All right, we're going to take our first break of Call It What You Want. When we come back, we'll continue to be sad. So come back and join us right after this. Welcome back into Average to Goodness, your favorite Average to Goodness. Call what you want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Jonathan Bornstein, who has been admirably filling in for Charlie Davies and part of the watch along, which we'll do another one for the third place game. So make sure you keep it here on Golazo America's YouTube channel. And we got Big Tones in the house. Big Tones! Great to see you, my friend. You called this game. I'm still in my feelings. I feel like I'm still trying to process what I just witnessed. Where are you on the emotional scale? Are you disappointed? Are you in the unacceptable range like I am? Like, how do we not do better with how we performed? I mean, I felt like we had more than enough chances to score, but nothing was like super clean, you know?
I'm in the unacceptable.
Yeah,
that's a good way to put it. Yeah. I said during the broadcast, it just needs to be sharper in both ends of the field. Now, there wasn't much to do defensively, but we all know, right? You win games in both boxes. We didn't make enough plays in one box, and we don't make a play in the other box, and that's the margins. And if you look at it moving forward, it's okay. We can say that Panama is our bogeys team, whatever it is, right? 4 times they've beaten us and knocked us out. We can say all of that, and all of that might be true. But if you're going to advance in a World Cup, right, you have to be sharp in those moments.
We're going to play at least 2 of these types of teams in the World Cup.
And that's where I was going to go, right? This is the type of team that gets you to the next round. If you're playing Brazil in the first 3, that's not the type of team that gets you to the next round. It's this type of team that I want to do this.
It's like Copa America, right?
I want to do this all without taking any credit away from Panama.
Yeah.
Because if Thomas Christensen last night went to bed and could draw his perfect game plan, today was hitting it all played out.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that last goal, though. As our resident goalkeeper, Andres Cantor, the legend, was joining us right after it happened, and he thought Matt Turner could have done better. We could agree on that. But I thought Tim Ream was in the position, then he went central and then didn't go step out at all. I thought he should take some responsibility. I mean, there's a lot of people that can take responsibility. For me, the goalkeeper is always the last domino to fall in a sequence of events. But just from his positioning and angles, where were you on Matt Turner on that goal?
I mean, I went to the desk right after the game, and I said, those are moments you got to find a way to make a play, right? And we broke it down frame by frame almost at the desk. And if you look, Matt Turner, and by the way, let's talk about the sequence. It comes over a Chris hitting a ball back to no one. Lost. Right? Then McKenzie comes in and it misses the tackle. I think it was McKenzie, right? Yeah. And then the ball gets wide. It gets settled in front of your box. Not hard pressure on Carrasquilla, right? Waterman peels off. Don't take any credit away from Waterman. Because
don't take any credit from them.
He hits a dart, right? But in the end, Matt's feet are, as the ball we had it about separated from his foot about a yard. Matt's feet are just coming down to hit the ground.
So he hasn't set yet.
Yeah. So he's not set yet. And for me, Jimmy, I'm gonna harp on this because I have since 10 minutes after we got knocked out in 2022. The only way you can stay sharp for these moments, right, is to be playing all the time because you can train all you want. You guys know. Yeah. I give you, Jonathan, 3 balls across the box. You're not a goal scorer. But if you were playing, if we were doing crossing,
he's got 2 goals and 38 caps. Show some respect.
Too, right? But you would find a way to get a rhythm. I'd give you the same pass all the time. You'd find a way to bend the ball forward.
Of course.
This is one moment. This is when there's no mulligans in this.
Yeah.
Right? In this moment here. And that's the hardest part to swallow for a goalkeeper because it's the hardest thing to do. You don't do anything for an entire game, and then boom, in a split second, you got something to do.
Yeah, no, it's incredible, right? Like you're saying, that moment will never, ever happen again either for him. So you can't train it. You can't replicate it. Like the way that Christian brings up, try to bring it down, and then other players. My biggest thing from that entire play was no one from the U.S., after Christian heads it down, tries to take initiative to break that play up, right? Everyone kind of looks at each other like you're going to go, I'm going to go, we go, no, they go. And then they kind of also do the same, but they're the ones quickest to get to that ball, right? And so that part of it for me is the worst, that no one on our team is taking an initiative to grab the group and put them on their back and say, like, guys, we're clearing this ball, we're going forward, and we're just going to win on both sides of the ball as well. So agreed with your point there as well.
All right, so Tones, we talked about in the first segment with Chris Wittyngham, and Chris, thank you so much for stopping by and joining us, that we didn't have enough players that were 7 or 8 out of 10. Right, and if we had more of those, that maybe would have tipped the game in our favor, right? Including that one play. You need your players in that one moment, the fine margins to come up and make a play, especially in these types of games. Where would you rate Mauricio Pochettino out of 10 in this particular game, starting lineup in, tactics that you saw, and then obviously the subs that come on. Like, where does he fit into this equation for you?
So Witty asked me, okay, Ajiman for Sargent, that's a like for like, right? I didn't think
he's 6'4", so at least he might even get better potentially on crosses.
And I said in the game, when the game opens up and you can run in behind, Ajiman is good. He had one opportunity to do that. The turnover, Weston gets the ball, he plays the through ball, he gets the defender on his shoulder. I think he would have preferred his left foot, but the defender is bouncing.
He should have gone near post, huh?
Right. He could have. But he's now got to get it over to his left. But anyway, he gets an opportunity, right? So he's dangerous. McGlynn, for me, as much as I like him, and didn't do it, I don't think he put a foot wrong in the game. It was like for me with Tessman, right? Yeah. So Witty, I don't remember.
Why not bring in Gio or Diego Luna, right?
I don't remember how Witty asked me the question, but basically it came down to, you're surprised Gio didn't go in the game. Gio or Luna, I'm surprised didn't go in the game, only because they're a different profile. Again, I'll go back to, I don't think McGlynn put a foot wrong. He completed every pass. He did what he had to do. But I thought he's the same exact profile as Tessman was in the game.
Except he can shoot from distance. And maybe
I
10.
didn't mention that. I said it gives you a long distance, and he almost had an opportunity.
He did. He got blocked. Yeah. So what do you rate? What would you give Pochettino in this? Where does he fall in this? Because we had already argued and talked about, especially during the watch along, that everybody's responsible for this poor performance, right? The players didn't execute at the level that they should have.
Yes.
And maybe he didn't make the right selections. Did you like his starting 11? I mean, you can maybe go this in tiers.
Yeah, I like the starting. I like the fact that he made the change between Pulisic and Way in the second half. I thought Timothy Way was the best player on the field for us, right? At least took the most initiative.
Yeah, he was trying to combine, make stuff happen, try to get him behind.
So he tried to do some things. I thought, so you've asked me for a grade. I don't know. We had we have a manager that didn't get through to the final for the first time in this competition. So already, right? Well, I mean, what can you?
Five.
I mean, I don't know how to rate these things.
I know. It's just kind of like
it's. We have to look at that first, right? Forget the substitution, because if he made these substitutions and Ajiman
scores,
the one
10 out of 10, baby.
Like 10, he made the
substitution. He got 11 out of 10.
Right? So it's always so hard, but there just needs to be more from us in both boxes. We just need to be ruthless, and right now we're not ruthless.
All right, so we need a reaction, Jonathan Bornstein, in the next game. I don't want to look too far forward because we'll have a special preview podcast for the third place game. We don't know who our opponent is. Those two teams are warming up right now behind us, Mexico versus Canada.
Yeah.
But there has to be some type of reaction. And I guess if we just had to speculate, how many changes to the starting 11 do you think we would potentially see? I mean, do you think it could be a wholesale changes, or do you think he's going to probably keep it similar? I'm kind of curious.
No, I think, I think you got to go with more balance on the field, right? I think you got to get a left-footed player out there on the left for the left fullback, just to provide those services with the left. The ball comes to them, they open up, they provide that. Every time Scully gets the ball, he's cutting into his right, which takes longer. Players have more time to close things down. It slows the game down a little bit. If you can have both those things on the right and the left, I think that's better for the U.S., right? We've mentioned that during the game as well. That being said as well, I'm interested to see who's going to win this game, because we've talked for so many years about how the U.S. and Mexico are the two strongest teams in the Concacaf, right? I feel like teams have caught up to us. I feel like our players have gotten better on paper, where they're all playing in Europe. They're playing in the highest leagues. They're competing at the highest level. But these other countries are beating us on a consistent basis, right? And so it's going to be interesting to see who we play in the third and fourth place game, and what changes we also need to make in order to beat whoever loses this next game as well.
Well, it's going to be an exciting third place game, because we're either going to get Jesse March in Canada or a U.S.-Mexico third place game, which would be pretty wild.
Did you say an exciting third place game? Is that
well, yeah, because this is my silver lining, Tones. I'm trying to find silver lining. All right, let's get to some comments here. People are saying, we got Bradley. What's up, Bradley? Saying we need 11 changes. We need to change everybody at this point. Brian says Turner and Tessman have to be out for the third place game. Stefan should be in for sure. A lot of disappointed. I don't know. I don't know where you think there should be some changes, if we're going to see any big tones.
I think a third place game, you make, for me, automatically forget the goal. You make a change in goal, right? I think you got to give somebody an opportunity. Now, that's me personally.
Okay.
And it didn't matter if that's how the goal went in or we just lost the game, right? I also think there's something where we talked about it. Pochettino doesn't have a lot of windows left with the full group, right? So what is he trying to work on, right? So we got to look at that. How much does he want to use, let's call it the starting 11, to get a little bit more in tune with everybody? But I would guess there's going to be a minimum of 4 changes in this game. By the way, can you stop bringing guys in that are really good? Like, we need to keep our jobs, Jimmy. You're bringing guys in that are really good to do this thing. And I'm going to talk to our producer, Des. Des, we got to stop bringing good guys in that are good at this job.
Well, we know that Clint Dempsey went on TV and was saying that these guys have no fight.
Okay.
That we lack a little bit of fight. And we talked about in the pregame, though, that Weston said before the game in the press conference, Christian said it before the game in the press conference, that Pochettino's trying to give him a little bit more nastiness. Yeah. I don't know if I saw any nastiness. No. I don't know if I saw us dabbling in the dark arts where we saw it with Panama, who were doing it in spades. It's like one of their things. What was the phrase that you were using in the watch along? Explain that to everybody for the podcast.
Oh, yeah, the thing I learned in Mexico. Well, in Mexico and in Central South America, they have a term that they call colmillo, which it means like a thing. They always touch that. And on the field, what that means is like the dark arts, pretty much.
Yeah.
And everybody, when they're little, they learn it. They learn how to
manage a game,
feel a bump and go down and win a foul. They know how to get in the box and then win a PK. You know how to, when maybe say in moments Panama, the U.S. was having a lot of good rhythm. You know, they'd get a foul and they'd stay down, roll around. Trainer would have to come on the field, slow the game down, get the rhythm back for them. So these type of things are what you learn from like growing up as a culture in Central and South America. Something we've lacked as Americans in soccer, and so I think we lack that. And that goes in with the fight and just winning a game and seeing a game out and everything that maybe Pochettino has grown up with, knowing he's trying to instill in us. And, obviously hasn't had a lot of time to do it, but hopefully something can change.
Right.
But I'm sorry, man. We got players playing around the world.
I know.
I agree.
This is not like our U16 team that has never left America.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we see it in the U.S. as well. But, like, we got to be a little bit – we were advanced like that. I hate bringing up the old days, but –
I feel like they got away.
We got away from it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. Because somehow we didn't like it anymore. Look, you're here to win a game, period. That's it. You got to find a way to win. When it's a knockout game, we got knocked out. You got to win a game.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting is that there are moments in the game, even when you don't have the ball, where you can see someone kind of taking charge. Like, we're going, we're going to press, we're going to go win this. And you can see a collective energy that comes from that individual that's taking on that responsibility. And then on the attacking side of the ball, you have players like, give me the goddamn ball, I'm going to go do something. And I don't think we saw a lot of that from anybody on either side of the ball, at least not consistently. And I think that's what probably falls into the unacceptable part for me too. This is a game, to your point, Jones, that we need to win. So you got to make the goddamn plays that are going to do it. So and those are the margins. It's given a little extra. I didn't feel like I saw anybody give a little extra on a tackle or an elbow or anything to the face.
Did you see a tackle? I think the only
we
tackle
saw one from Tyler Adams, and we all cheered because it's like the one tackle we saw all game.
We needed a little bit more fire. Guys throwing their bodies on the line. Guys taking that initiative to really, what you're saying is take the game and grab it by the horns. Guys, we're going to do this. Like, give me the ball. You move. I saw Tim Ream do it a couple times in the first half where he had the ball on his foot. He's like telling guys to move, right? Like more of that, more of guys just being.
That's Tyler Adams for us, and I don't feel like we saw that from Tyler today, or it wasn't as evident as usual. I should say. Yes. I don't know. Maybe you saw something different from the booth.
I thought he was okay in the game. He did his thing. I thought him and Tessman kind of did the same thing a lot. Especially during that first half. We were far too slow. I said in the first half. We had I don't know what you guys saw, but I saw a little bit more initiative in the second half. Just not good enough in the final third. Like we were. I thought Christian was very average today. Musa was average today.
Do you think that, just to jump in, do you think that Pochettino and his staff will regret starting 2 6s at the beginning of this game? Because there was really no need for it, given that Panama were going to sit in a low block anyway?
You nailed it, man. When you, unless you didn't think Panama was going to sit back, but everything told us they were going to be in a 5-4-1 because Christensen has been in a 5-4-1 for quite a while. So why 2 6s? Why not 2 8s or 10s, however you want to call them? I heard Thierry Henry at halftime talk about he needed to see Christian Pulisic go 1v1 a little bit more and stay wide. Christian, we know, Pochettino told us yesterday, Christian
Likes him
is.
central.
He's. I want to get his term right. I think he said he's his perfect number 10, right? The way he wants to interpret that position. So what does that do? That takes Christian out from a lot of 1v1 situations. Although today, was Gutierrez down the left-hand side was really good against Pulisic.
Yeah.
So I know it's a count and mouse, and I still go back to we bury one of those opportunities. Then you bury one in the first half, the Josh Sargent one that gets deflected and all that stuff. You bury that. It's a knockout game. What does Panama have to do?
Right.
At some point, they got to open the game up.
Right.
And then you win the game. We never did that to them.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take our next break of Call What You Want. When we come back, we're going to still be sad, just like we were in the other two segments. So don't go anywhere. We're crying real tears over here. Welcome back into a very sad Average to Good podcast. Call What You Want. We're recapping the U.S.'s unacceptable loss to Panama 1-0 in the Concacaf Nations League semifinals here at SoFi Stadium. They are now going to be waiting to see who they're going to play in the third place game. I'm Conrad alongside Johnny Boy, Jonathan Bornstein, and Big Tones, Tony Meola. And one thing we haven't discussed with you in particular, Big Tones, is set pieces. We had a lot of set pieces, and I didn't think we were very decisive, very dangerous, very threatening on those. And listen, you've played in some World Cups. You played in 2010, Johnny B. 2000. Look, set pieces are the difference at times. In these types of games, too, where it's really tight, it's hard to break them down in open play. Set pieces are going to unlock them. We get one, I think maybe we score 2 or 3, right? But we couldn't get that first one. We got to clean that side of it up, because that could be the difference of us going through in 2026 and us getting knocked out in the group stages, which would be, again, unacceptable is my fun key word today. What are your thoughts on our set pieces?
Well, you guys know as well as I do. Set pieces were always a staple for us.
Yeah, of course.
They were part of the game. Like, that needs to get better. We started. I still don't know this whole play. I don't know if Timothy Weah starting off the field,
then coming
and
on.
then running on.
But they didn't even use him.
I said
play him then.
I said in the broadcast, maybe we're looking to set something up down the line, right? Maybe it's setting something up for.
That's a silver lining, Big Tones. I love that.
I never saw anything that was being set up, so I feel like it's a wasted player.
It is a wasted player.
And maybe they didn't get enough opportunities to set it up. I don't know. So I really
they had like 15 corner kicks. That's
deep.
more than enough.
And then the other thing is, for me, it's frustrating when I watch any game. This game, when that ball doesn't clear the first defender. Because no matter, you can make the best runs, you can have the best setup, you can set picks, you can do whatever happens on the but it doesn't clear the first defender, and the whole play is shot, right, in the game. So, but and the other thing about set pieces, and I say this all the time, and we know it, right? When you're not playing well, a set piece can bail you out of the game. Right? And we didn't have that today.
What's interesting when you bring up the near post thing, Tones has teed me up to talk about my one goal for the U.S. against Mexico. But in the first half of that game,
we've seen it, Jimmy,
no, I know,
a couple times.
But let me talk about the first half. The first half, Landon was taking the corners and couldn't get it over the near posts. Free kicks out wide, couldn't get over the first guy.
Yep.
I sit next to him at halftime, and I'm like, dude, can you just put one like in an area where we can attack it? I'm expected to not only go there, but I'm expected to be the first one back. You know, what starts a counter, I'm the one that has to sprint my ass back for 60 yards. Just give me one that I can sink my teeth into. First quarter of the second half, he puts it in a good spot, and I score. And that's why I'm kind of laughing and running towards him when I'm celebrating, because he fucking listened to me and put it in a good spot. But yeah, to your point, nothing's more frustrating than when your guy, and like he's had time to rest, put the ball down, sip some coffee, smoke a cigarette, all time kinds of thing. Just hit a good ball in a good spot. I don't know. You scored one goal on a header and a set piece for the U.S. What was your other one? Run a play or set piece?
Run a play.
Yeah,
but,
all right.
Yeah, but similar set piece, but also wasn't supposed to be in there.
Well, yeah. At the end of the game, we were chasing it.
But I agree completely with what you guys are saying, right? And it isn't just the first post that you got to clear. We were putting balls over the service area as well, and then there was even a free kick in the first half where
Put out for a goal kick.
yeah, just put it out for a goal kick, right? No one's even like
Oh, the Pulisic one. Straight,
yeah.
It's a straight free kick,
Which,
right?
which only goes to tell me that no one was on the same page. Like, did they work on them? Did they? And we were saying here at the while we were speaking, it was like, hope that's not how they drew it up, and like someone did run to the right space or
It
something.
didn't
like
even matter,
it
John, because the ball went out of play anyway.
No, I know.
He made the best runs in the world.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So like, what? But it's just like everyone was standing there and looking at it. So it wasn't really like a lot of thinking behind the madness, right? So
It's one of those areas of the game
But it has
too.
to be
When I think
better.
about set pieces, where you can control almost every part of it, right? And so the fact that those weren't as clean as I think they should be at this point under Mauricio Pochettino's tenure, I'm disappointed in that as well.
And we can't use the excuse that we don't have enough time to work on them. If you don't have enough time, just give me 2.
Yeah.
Let's set up,
Simplify.
simplify them. Give me 2 restarts, and let's just keep pounding it, right? Until we get it right. Like we don't have to have 10 different restarts.
Right.
Now, going into the World Cup, you can have a little bit more time.
Sure.
You got you set that thing up, but simplify it.
Right.
I mean, yeah, you're right there. I think sometimes with set pieces, especially like you see Arsenal have all these different types of plays, right? And they do all these creative things to make picks and blocks and get guys open. But sometimes, like we've all played this game, sometimes you just need to put the ball in the box. No one even needs to know where it's going, and someone just goes and gets it. Right. Like that's a lot of the time too. So I don't really see any excuses. If the service isn't there, how are you going to ever score? So you could just say we don't have time, guys. Just get in the box, make a run near post, far post, mid post, and get there, right?
Right.
Simplify it. Just like you're saying.
This is going to be interesting. Who do we want in the third place game? Do we want Mexico or do we want Canada? I guess we have to wait to see how they perform first. But U.S.-Canada would be probably pretty sweet. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yeah.
But I don't
Honestly,
know. Either way, coin flip.
It's third place game. I wanted to be in the first place game, so that's kind of who I wanted to play. But if you ask me who I would rather play in the first place game, I'd want to play Mexico just because of the rivalry.
Yeah.
But Canada's also got a really good team, coached by Jesse Marsh, an American. So there's arguments for both sides.
That's fair.
And in third place just doesn't have the same taste or
it won't. But
feeling.
There'll be some pride on the line. Nobody wants to finish fourth,
Of course.
out of these 4 teams.
You'd think, right?
What do you think?
You'd think,
we'll have to wait and see.
And I gotta.
We'll see if somebody phones it in or not.
That group, they can't be happy. I mean, I know you're always upset when you. That's not a result to be. You can lose any game.
Right.
Well, we all know
Right,
that. You
right.
can lose. That's not a result, and that's not a performance you can be happy with.
Yeah, man, I'm in my feelings right now. I can't wait to go eat something to solve some of my emotional crisis that I'm having internally. All right, so I wanted to get your thoughts, Big Tones, on just which player you thought we missed the most of the players that weren't available. Is it
Easy. Anthony Robinson.
Yeah.
I mean, especially given what you said. Get a left-footed player on the left side, guy that we know stretches the game a little bit. Good service. He's gotten so much better over the last couple of years with his service. We miss Anthony Robinson. But I'd hate to pin the game on one player. Let's say we get to the World Cup and Anthony Robinson can't play one game. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Got to figure it out.
Right.
That's what you do.
That's a big opportunity for players to step up. Maybe didn't take it. I agree with you, though. Having a left-footed player on the left side just would have made things, I think, a little more fluid.
And by the way, I don't think Joe Scally played bad.
I don't think so either.
I thought he was very good.
He was solid.
Very good.
He was solid.
Yeah.
But it's not Anthony Robinson.
We talked about this earlier before you got here on the broadcast. We talked about how Scully actually played well. He was one of the players you could actually say he was solid defensively, got forward when he needed to, served some good balls, but wasn't as dynamic as maybe a left-footed player on that side could have been, right? And created the chances at the pace and rhythm that they need, or the pace and rhythm that he normally does on the right side, right? Because it's just on his natural side. So I agree with your point.
Yeah, it's with that in mind, I wonder if, and because he trusted a Jack McGlynn as one of his first subs off the bench, I wonder if he'll give Max Arston a run, who's more of a traditional wingback for the Columbus Crew.
Yes.
And now, instead of having like a Joe Scally and Tim Weah try to occupy that left side, you can just have Arston do it. That can maybe create a numerical advantage somewhere else. Obviously, we'll talk more about this in our preview show. That'll be happening on Friday, but tomorrow, geez, we got show after show after show. Yeah. It just flying by over here, and obviously
You guys making me feel for Charlie on that one too, or what? I mean,
well, you know what? Charlie misses a lot, Johnny B. So
I saw the air quotes about he was having trouble flying.
He always got back spasms. He gets back spasms a lot.
If you're looking to fill in, by the way, there might be a spot for you about twice a week.
And our show is twice a week, just in case you didn't know. Yeah, so we always might have room for you, all things considered. All right, let's get into final thoughts. Johnny B, we really appreciate you hanging out with us, both for the watch along and for the show. What are you doing these days? I catch everybody up because I feel like you disappeared. What was Johnny B doing? I know you were coaching at Florida State and helping out there, but you had a career, took you all over the world.
Yes,
what's Jonathan Bornstein doing now?
After I was done playing, so I finished in 2023. First, I actually just thought of this. I want to shout out to my daughters. So they're in Mexico. And I asked them to watch tonight. I don't know if they did or not, but hi, Julia. Hi, Joanna. You guys were listening to the broadcast of this, but anyways, so then I did go coach at Florida State, but now I've come back on board with the agency who managed my career for the entirety.
Okay.
So for almost 20 years, I was with Lyle Yorks and YMU Sports Agency.
Okay.
So I just came on board as a director of identification of talent and acquisition. So excited to be for this new chapter for myself. And back here in LA with family, close to the family.
Yeah. Shout out to Los Alamitos.
Los Alamitos, all the peeps there. And so, just really excited to see how this is all going to play out. But thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, of course.
It was amazing. Great. It was so much fun to watch the game and talk about it and call it how it is, right? Or whatever you
call it what you want.
I do call it what I want.
You did. You just call it what it is. Call it what it is. We changed the name. I love that. Big Toads, final thoughts on this disappointing, unacceptable day for the U.S. Men's National Team.
Not a great day for the U.S. Men's National Team, but you got to learn from it somehow, right? That's the reality.
Better now than in 2026.
Oh yeah. If we're gonna get it, if you tell me in 2026 we got it out of our system today, I'll be all right with it.
All right. Well, we're gonna call it a show. That is it. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. As always, be sure to hit like and subscribe. Podcast platform of choice. Give us all the love that you can. We really appreciate it. So we can keep traveling and going to fun games like this, even though this one wasn't that much fun. But hanging out with my friends is always a good time talking about the beautiful game. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And be sure to check out our preview show for the third place game tomorrow. All right. That's it. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you. Later.